Hello, this is Fredrik Karen from Professional Speaking, and today we are going to speak about a big question that I get a lot, and the question is, how many professional speakers are there in the world? And of course no one really knows, but I thought it would be interesting to dig into this subject and see what we can discover. So, if you look on London Speaker Bureau, which is the largest, most global speaker bureau in the world, they say that they represent 4,000 or more than 4,000 speakers. And there are a bunch of other big speaking bureaus that say that they represent between 3,000 and 4,000 speakers. So you could argue that the bureaus go in and they select the top speakers in the world and then put them on their roster. I'm represented by London Speaker Bureau and a few other bureaus, and so I'm one of the 4,000. But of course, we also know that there are a lot of speakers who are great speakers. They're just not represented by bureaus for different reasons. And that means that the number should be bigger than this. And actually, it is much bigger than that. So if you look at how many speakers are members of a professional speaker association, there are about 10,000 speakers who are represented in one of those national associations like NSA in America or APSS, Asia Professional Speakers, here in Singapore. I'm actually a member of 5 different speaker associations around the world because I like to be a member of the speaking community on every continent that I am active in. So roughly about 10,000, and then that is great. If you want to serious about being a professional speaker, you should join a speaker association. But of course, not every great speaker or not every speaker is part of a speaker association. Actually, it's much more than that. So if you go in and see, okay, so I position myself as a global speaker then. So how many global speakers are there? You go in and you look on LinkedIn, how many speakers have tagged themselves as global speakers in their profile. It goes down to just 1,500. But are there 1,500 global speakers, as in speakers who travel around the world and speak? I spoke in 24 countries last year. I've spoken in 70 countries altogether. And actually, no, there are actually probably less than 1,500 global speakers. So some of the speakers who put global speaker in the title are more of as an aspiration than an actual description. Some say, but let's say there's about 1,000 speakers who travel around the world and speak. But now we're in COVID times, and that means now suddenly everyone who is a speaker can now compete on being a global speaker and delivering a speech virtually. So it becomes even more interesting to find out how many speakers are there in the world. So let's dig deeper into LinkedIn. If you look how many people on LinkedIn have put the word speaker in the title of their job description, it goes up to a whopping 148,000 people. And I think that is the true definition of a professional speaker, someone who put the word description on LinkedIn as the title that you do. Now, of course, the number is even bigger because you could be a Chinese person and a German person or someone who don't speak English, and you can still be a speaker, you just didn't put it, or you're not on LinkedIn, for God's sake. But if you are serious about wanting to be found as a speaker around the world, you should be on LinkedIn and you should put the word speaker in your title in English. So I think this is a very fair measurement. 148,000 speakers who define themselves as being speakers and are promoting that on LinkedIn to the world. But I went even further. I said, what if we put the word speaker not in the working title, but anywhere on their profile? And it goes up to a whopping 1.8 million people who somewhere on their LinkedIn profile say that they are speakers. Because remember, if we are looking for speakers, it's not necessarily someone who does it for a full-time job. It could be someone who's working on The Economist or something and then just speaks partially. So it's somewhere on the title, they put the words, somewhere in their profile, they put the word speaker. And yes, some of them will put it in because they're native English speaker, or someone will put it in because they are a speaker of a house or something. So this is not a correct measurement. But I scrolled through quite a lot of these, not at 1.8 million, but quite a lot of profiles to check. And the majority of these people who put speaker in their profile is because they are promoting that they have been speaking somewhere in a conference. And if you ask me, if you have spoken somewhere in a conference and you promote it on your LinkedIn profile, you are a speaker. Hey, so we're talking about way over 1 million people that full-time or partially or as part of their job are professional speakers. So should we be intimidated by this? Of course, we should not. Does it mean that we have millions of competitors? In a way, yes. But this is how we should think about it. How many professional speakers like you are there in the world? And that is the question that is only relevant for us. I am the creativity explorer. For 20 years I've been traveling around the world to study and learn about human creativity and go around and speak about it. Now, there are hundreds or thousands of speakers who speak on creativity, but there are very, very few who have traveled around the world as much as I have and interviewed thousands of people in over 70 countries on the topic of creativity. If you want someone to speak about what we can learn about human creativity, who has been studied it with humans all around the world, there are actually very, very few. So yes, there might be 1.8 million or whatever people who put speaker in the LinkedIn profile, but there might be 148,000 people who say that they are speakers in the speaker profile, and there might be 81,000 speakers who have put speaker in this profile and somewhere on the profile mention the word creativity, and there are 23,000 speakers who put speaker in the title and somewhere in the title put the word global, but there are very, very few who are professional speakers who speak on creativity and promote themselves as doing it, studying and speaking around it globally. Actually, I would argue that there is one, and that person is me. How many professional speakers like you are there in the world? And the correct answer to that question should be one. One. Because then, when they are looking, the client is looking for a speaker, there is only one choice, and that choice is you. That is the lesson today from Fredrik Aaron from professionalspeaking.com, wishing for you to reach your full potential as a speaker.